Hello to you, our viewers. Welcome to this edition of the news in English here on Rwanda Television with me, Serge Nhore. We'll begin with the headlines. Nosken House, Kigali, has officially been inaugurated with African tech entrepreneurs being urged to be fearless in their endeavors. Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente has participated in the opening of the 2023 Africa Investment Forum in Marrakesh on behalf of President Paul Kagame. The 2023 University of Rwanda N-Grade Innovation and Incubation Hub Innovation Week is now underway, and Rwandan researchers have been noting on the importance of carrying out research that actually has an impact on the lives of communities for the better. Let us now move on to the details. The President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, has noted that investors should see Africa as a place of opportunity. The head of state made this statement during the official launch of Nosken Kigali House. We have the details with Adam Squizera.
The Nosken Kigali building, which is located in Kigali city, is currently a home to 1,200 entrepreneurs with technology projects. It has various infrastructures that facilitates their startups to implement their projects and investors as well. Eugene Gwagasore, the founder of Pindo, an AI-based company, explores the benefits he gained from Nosken.
Nosken came, it was a good tool, a good space for us to work and collaborate. And it has been tremendous value for us because we have been engaging with many people. We have met investors which are based here and abroad, and that has enabled us to pursue our dream. So the challenge really is exposure. So having exposure and having a space which incubates more than 1,000 people with diverse background, investors, startups, or that combination, that melting pot is what we see as value with working with Nosken.
This is one of the projects that Nosken Foundation puts its efforts into, since it is found that can change people's lives across the world. Nicholas Adelbert, the founder of Nosken, stated that after launching it in 2016, he had a goal of assisting entrepreneurs to meet with various investors that could assist them to run their projects.
And the aim was to put the spotlight, network and capital behind impact entrepreneurs. And for Africa, this means that we're backing startups that create jobs and contribute to economic growth so that we can end inequalities across various sectors. And this means that Africa can not only leapfrog, but also be the lead with innovative solutions for how we all can live within the planetary boundaries.
In the official launch of Nosken Kigali House, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, pointed out that Africa is a continent that has the same features as other continents, which makes it a place for investment.
I've never understood why there should be a particular geographical place where everything is to be underestimated or underrated, and therefore the investors need to bear that in their minds, that Africa has everything the rest of the world has, even more. But when it comes to people, I think we should consider ourselves as equal with any other people anywhere in the world. Now, but there are also resources, other resources other than just people that we can tap into and grow and connect with the rest of the world for our own success, but also for the success of the rest of the world. So the investors need just not to look at Africa as a big market, which it is, but also a thriving people, society, that to a great extent will match or even supersede actually what exists elsewhere in the world. So the investors need to consider that, and of course the next consideration for any investor is you invest for a purpose, and is that purpose going to be served? Is the profit you want to and the growth you want to make out of that going to happen? I think I can say it is guaranteed that it will happen.
Another thing the head of state reiterated on was the benefits for investors in investing on this continent.
Well, first of all, we are deliberate in Rwanda. In terms of creating the environment that will enable us to achieve what we want to achieve. In the same way, us doesn't mean just particularly Rwandans. It means Africans, it means people from anywhere else in the world who want to invest with us or do business with us. And that thinking, therefore, provides for an environment that lowers the risk anybody would face when they have taken a chance with us and believed in us that we can do things like that and do as expected in terms of holding each other's hand and moving forward.
In 2021, Noskin Kigali House started hosting entrepreneurs after investing about $20 million, starting with 250 startups. In 2022, they were after completing a new environmental-friendly building, which significantly contributed to an increasing number of local startups, as well as it also provided opportunities to find investors that support those startups, which now the number of projects that have already been invested in are worth of $45 million. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Now, the inauguration of Noskin House Kigali was an opportunity for young tech entrepreneurs to pick the brain of a truly inspirational leader, and they did not hold back. Take a look.
Your Excellency, we operate in about 9 African countries, among others. As a leader, you've often emphasized the need to ensure countries can share their expertise with one another. We break down barriers that can foster collaboration, but also emphasize the need for Africans to seek opportunities that give them a sense of dignity, as well as raising our expectations to global standards. Why is this level of Pan-Africanism or solidifying this collaboration very important for you? And what advice would you give us as we scale?
I think Africa being where we are already speaks for itself in a sense that we are where we are in comparison with other countries across the world because of something that is lacking. And what is lacking that we need to be looking at and resolving is, one, do you have belief in yourselves? Do we Africans have belief in ourselves and what we are capable of? And then to move ahead and do what needs to be done so that we raise ourselves to the level where the rest of the world is. Because I don't see anything else that is lacking in this sense. So one is the belief in ourselves. Two is doing the right things we must do. Again, you always bear in mind the environment, the rest of the world. What is it that could be done? And in that process, you are actually putting yourself on the path to regain that dignity that we should have had in the first place, but which lacks, especially when we have to compare ourselves with what we see elsewhere, and then sometimes we don't think of doing what we need to do to raise ourselves, but think about jumping to the other and asking them to lift us up. This whole process of putting yourself in a dignified position should not be something we should be asking somebody else to do for us. Nobody owes you a thing, really.
Your Excellency, There's a global debate around artificial intelligence on things like its ethics, its safety, and for Africa specifically, things like its preparedness or readiness to adopt AI. I'm curious, what is your view on artificial intelligence, and what is your advice for us, the tech entrepreneurs who are trying or who aspire to help Africa leapfrog and also actually make it a leader in artificial intelligence? Thank you.
Yeah, to begin with, everything new that comes to society raises certain concerns. In fact, let's begin with, look at technology as a whole. Technology has a huge benefit, provides that and advantage in terms of productivity and different kinds of things, and it lifts people to a much higher level generally. But it is important to walk that path while you are thinking of what are the benefits in actual sense, but what are also the dangers that come with these new tools and thinking and so on to society. Now, there are now even more concerns when it comes to artificial intelligence. But those concerns should also be looked at in a sense that there are probably more benefits with artificial intelligence than many other technologies, and therefore we need to balance the two. The accelerated benefits in terms of what AI provides as a new and sophisticated technology, but again with the same mind, what are likely to be the dangers, so that again people work towards managing that, regulating that.
Rwanda is known to take risks, going above and beyond. Some say we are a startup nation, and others say that we may be punching above our weight. You attracted ILCAD and Zipline, to say the least. At Pindo, we are aspiring to scale our communication tools using AI so that communities in Africa can engage and communicate in this digital age using our native languages. And that requires really a big undertaking on our behalf, something that you always do. As a leader, what makes you believe in yourself to take those risks, regardless of the challenges they may bring with them? Thank you.
If anybody anywhere in this world is going to be to do something that is worthwhile, anything of any value, it's not going to be without risk. So you have to go to choose. Do you take the risk in trying to achieve something of a very high value, or do you not take the risk and end up doing nothing and being nothing? So you've got to consider these things. So we don't take the risk just for the sake of it. We take risk where risk must be taken that is going to give us that value in what we want to achieve, and therefore the two are correlated. The whole idea of punching above one's weight First of all, why do you have that weight that you are going to be worried about? So then you need to consider that. You need to also work upon that to make sure that what you are going to be doing, whether you are punching or doing whatever, it's commensurate to your weight. So in other words, everything has to be going up. But, well, called a startup nation like some others have been and so on and so forth, yeah, you've got to start from somewhere to go along the journey you want to take.
What is your favorite social media app?
Twitter.
All right. And what is your favorite thing about being a grandfather?
It's everything.
All right. What is the biggest unexpected successful government of Rwanda project or policy?
Is try and change the mindset of Rwandans. From being dependent on others to depending on ourselves, but also collaboration with others. But the mindset change is key.
Right. And what would be your advice to the Arsenal coach?
Well, he's a good coach, first of all. And he's doing well with the team. So we need to, but when you are doing well, every time, whoever is doing well, the next thing, that person wants to do better. So there is always wanting to do better than you are doing. So my advice is keep on going and doing better.
One last one.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most impressive piece of technology?
I would put it in a general sense. Digital technology is important because it provides that foundation and platform on which everything else is built. Even what we are talking about in terms of artificial intelligence, it is all originating from that.
A very informative and entertaining exchange with the head of state. Now, moving on to other matters, Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente has participated in the 2023 Africa Investment Forum in Marrakesh on behalf of President Paul Kagame and taken part in a presidential panel discussion on accelerating Africa's economic transformation. The Prime Minister was asked why the rest of the African continent is not emulating Rwanda's remarkable economic transformation in the last few decades.
We used to discuss what we used to call Africa's potential. Now I am at least happy that we're discussing actions. You know, a forum like this one where we discuss investment is something very important. Discussing investment, what needs to be done, because now we know already we know Africa's potential, and we already know our capacity, and we already know our challenges. So I'm very happy that we're not discussing the challenges, we're not discussing the potential, we're discussing actions. But also, as I think I mentioned in a few years ago in the same forum, that as African continent, we know what needs to be done. We should go into action now. And if we don't go into action now, we're losing time. We're wasting our time, so we need to be practical. And what we want to do as African continent is work together, to plan together. And the good thing now is that at least we have a shared vision, Africa 2063.
Rwanda's economy has grown by an average of 8% over the last 2 decades, and the Prime Minister stressed that good security, among other things, has been central to that, as well as increased investment.
Security is a key factor in attracting investment in Rwanda. The country has been working toward creating a safe and a secure environment. When you come to Rwanda, you feel really safe. You feel home. You can move from a city to another, from a district to another, safely with no problem being night or day. So the security is the first component for our package, which is offered to our investors. Then the other elements of that package, we have been investing heavily in infrastructure, roads, electricity, water and sanitation, but also IT infrastructure. We have been always talking about investing in Africa, but you cannot attract investments, manufacturing and other things if you don't have electricity. Our target in Rwanda is to make sure that all households across the country are connected 100% by 2024. But so far, we have reached that 374% of our households are connected to electricity. They have a connection.
Also present was Tanzania's head of state, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, and she reminded participants that cooperation on the African continent in this regard is key and that the proper infrastructure must also be in place.
Connectivity is the major issue in Africa, and that's a gap we are having. Africa has to invest a lot in connectivity. Talking of connectivity, I once attended a conference in Senegal, and reaching Senegal, I had to go to Paris first, going to Europe and then coming back to Africa. So that's a problem of connectivity in our continent. But in Tanzania, how are we dealing with the connectivity, working with all these 8 neighbors? We are using roads. We have invested a lot in connecting Tanzania with our 8 road-accessible countries.
Participants at the investment forum urged African countries to adopt an open border policy similar to Rwanda's that does not require visas from African visitors or investors. Now to matters here at home. The President and Vice President of Rwanda's Senate have held discussions with Israel's ambassador focusing on the bilateral relations that exist between both nations. Dr. François-Xavier Kalinda welcomed Her Excellency Enat Weiss and wished her all the best in her duties, giving assurances of cooperation in boosting the relations between the two countries. The two officials expressed satisfaction at the level of cooperation that exists in areas like diplomacy, security, the economy, agriculture, and more. The two dignitaries also discussed boosting parliamentary diplomacy between Rwanda and Israel. Now, the residents of Kigali City have been noting on the need for first aid training so that they can provide support in cases of emergency while waiting for professionals. We have the details with Olive Nete.
During road accidents that may happen at workplaces, such as fires, injuries from other various accidents, people who may get sick at work and need emergent help and more, are some of the cases that shows that people need basic knowledge about first aid so as to provide assistance in case of need. However, a big number of residents don't have basic knowledge on first aid.
When someone is injured and is lying on the streets, we carry them and put them aside, and then we call an ambulance or the police. That's all we can do while we wait for the ambulance to arrive. During the fire outbreak, we have fire extinguishers, and also we can use sand or water to extinguish the fire. First aid has various objectives, including preserving the life of a person in need, prevent worsening of the situation.
First aid is needed in various cases, such as in case of physical trauma, psychological trauma, and more. However, there are some people who have basic knowledge about it, although there are not many.
During the fire outbreak, we have been trained on how we can provide a support while waiting for advanced aid. In this building, we all have fire extinguishers, since we may need them in case of fire.
In public transport vehicles, in various buildings or other various places where people gather, there are first aid equipment and toolkits. Most of the people do not know how to use these tools. Residents highlight the need of being trained about first aid.
For example, in the past few days, there has been very many fire outbreaks in various places, and the building would burn, and all the things inside may burn, also because people don't know what to do while waiting for advanced help from professionals. For example, these materials we saw may burn with just one match. The fire may ravage the whole place, so if you are not trained on it, that would be a big problem.
A person may die due to lacking first aid. That is why we think people need to be trained on first aid and how they can provide basic support while waiting for an ambulance. Jean Mukeshimana, in charge of first aid services at the Red Cross Rwanda, noted that providing first aid without being trained on it can cause other consequences, including endangering a person's life.
Of course, instead of saving, is doing harm. It's better that, yes, it's good that having that helping heart, but also we need to have skills to be sure that what we are going to do is like saving life, not making harm, not make the situation worse. You can do a first aid, anyone can save life. The important thing is just having skills.
Experts in providing first aid point out that first aid training could prevent 80% of deaths from injury. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive. Now, the 2023 University of Rwanda and Grid Innovation and Incubation Hub Innovation Week is now underway, and Rwandan researchers have been noting on the importance of carrying out research that actually has an impact on the lives of communities for the better.
We are doing innovation in energy technology where we made or we developed the device called an automatic changeover switch that is helping people to connect solar energy technology to utility, where the device has the way to connect the grid here, other way for PV. PV is photovoltaic energy, and we get output here. With this system, the name of the system is the PV Grid Power System. With this system, people are saving up to 100% from the customers that we have. And we are talking with some banks so that we can help people to get loan from the banks and supply them with the systems and pay by monthly the money they use for the energy consumption.
Rwanda's government has been giving much emphasis on research being carried out in the country's education system, going down to the secondary and even primary levels.
Innovation is critical. It's a way to go as we mobilize resources as a nation for our institutions to be able to do research and innovation. So this is important, but it doesn't end there as an innovation week. It's like to showcase what the students have been doing. You're going to do a lot of exhibitions. So this is a platform where students are able to showcase what they are doing, also to connect with the rest of the world, the partners. If we relate with innovation, research, we connect it with our CBC, the competence-based curriculum that we've been running in our schools. This was aimed at opening up, to open our students to have to do research as they study, to learn by doing. Competence-based is more of learning by doing, to avoid the previous system whereby a child would wait for the notes from the teacher. So it's a student-centered learning, whereby they participate in their learning, they do research, etc. So as a government, I think the message is we'll continue to empower our schools to have platform to do innovation and research.
During the Innovation Week, the university's researchers and students will exchange ideas with its partners on how their research can be further improved for better results for beneficiaries. Now, as part of Airtel's Connect Rwanda initiative in Burera district on Wednesday, the communications giant announced that by the end of this year, 95% of its transmission towers in the country will be able to support 4G internet connectivity. Airtel Rwanda has committed itself to distributing smartphones to 1.2 million people at a cost of just 20,000 Rwandan francs each, which is why it is also strengthening its communications network.
There is a lot of demand, and you can see that there is a big queue behind us. I say to the Rwandans that no worries, we have a program of more than 1 million phones to be distributed in the next months, so we'll have, I think, enough. To insist on the fact that the program is not only about phone, it is about the offer. And everybody, every customer of Airtel or new customer of Airtel can enjoy the offer. So the overall coverage of Airtel will be that we are committed to have 4G in all the Airtel sites, which are almost 1,000 all over the country, before end of the year. So before end of the year, 94.5% of the population can enjoy 4G.
This drive to provide affordable smartphones to the general public comes following the revelation that only a small portion of the population owns such phones. As always, it has been a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.